Hello everyone. So in this video, we are going to be talking about significant figures. Okay. Again, a very important topic when it comes to working in a lab. We should know how, when you're dealing with any instrument, we should know, what are the you can say the precision are for an instrument. So we should know how precisely an instrument can measure. And for that, we need to be careful about how many significant figures to put to keep when you're taking a recording. Okay, so before we talk about that, we first want to learn to deal with significant figures. So I want in this video, I just want to talk about the rules for significant figures. Okay, so the first thing we're going to learn is that you can look at a number and then tell me how many significant figures there are. And then the second thing we'll learn is that when you're rounding off the numbers, then how do you follow the significant figures when it comes to multiplication, division, and addition and subtraction, okay? Okay, so to begin with, let me put up some numbers, and then you guys tell how many significant figures do you think are in those numbers. Okay, so do try to figure out how many sig figs for each one of these. Okay, all right, so how do we tell how many significant figures we have for a number? Okay, so there are a few rules that you want to remember. And the things you want to remember are for the numbers. The confusion arises for significant figures when there are zeros, right? If all the non-zero numbers are always significant. So if I just say 565, there are three significant figures. If I say 565.5, I see four significant figures. But when I see zeros, that's when the confusion arises, okay? So in order to answer that, we need to remember some rules, okay? So let me actually put some more numbers here, and we'll come back to all these problems. So if you can already answer these, you're good. But if not, then we wanna go over the rules and then see if we can solve these problems. Okay. So when we are dealing with significant figures, guys, we want to divide all the numbers. We want to segregate or classify all the numbers into two types of numbers. Those two types of numbers are the numbers with the decimal and then numbers without the decimal. Numbers with and without decimal, because the rules for counting the zeros is going to be different when you have a decimal versus when you don't have a decimal. Okay, so what I'm trying to say, if you have 101 as a number versus 1.01, it makes a difference on how you look at a zero. Okay, so let's say there's a 1.010 like that and 1010 like that. It makes a difference having or not having a decimal. Okay, remember, when you have a decimal, it's easy for zero to become significant. What does that mean? It means, remember this, a zero will be significant. A zero will be significant if it has a non-zero number, anywhere in the front, not right in the front, but anywhere in the front. What does that mean? You see that this zero has a non-zero number in the front. So like it has this one sitting in the front. That will make this zero significant. And same is true with this zero. Since this zero has a non-zero number in the front, it makes this zero significant. So you will be counting, of course, one and one is significant. Both of these zeros will also count significant. So this number will have four significant figures. Okay, now let us see if you had a number like this, then what will happen? You see this zero in the front Again, remember, I'm right now dealing with the numbers that have decimal. So that's a rule you gotta follow. So this number has a decimal. So let's look at its zeros, if they're significant or not. So a zero in the front, right? This zero has no non-zero number in the front. So this zero is a not significant. I'm going to cross it out. It's not significant. This one is, of course, significant. Then I look at this zero. When I look at this zero, I ask myself, is there a non-zero number in the front? Yes, there is. So this guy is significant. This one is significant. Let's look at this zero. This zero has a non-zero number in the front, so it is significant. Let's look at this zero. This zero also has a non-zero number in the front. Anywhere in the front is okay, okay? That non-zero number does not have to be immediate. Any non-zero number in the front is okay for a zero to be significant. Again, when you have a decimal. So guys, all of this applies. All of the example that we just did only works because you have a decimal. Okay, now let's learn when you do not have a decimal, then what happens, guys? When you do not have a decimal, then it is more difficult for zero to become significant. And this is what you got to remember, that zero must be surrounded or sandwiched between non-zero numbers. So actually it becomes more difficult for zero to be significant when it's there without a decimal in the number. So what does that mean? That if there's a zero sitting here, and let's say there is a number here in the front and there's a number in the back, so this zero will become significant because it has a non-zero number in the front and in the back. Even in this case, both of these zeros are significant because they are sandwiched between the two non-zero numbers, and that makes them significant, okay? But if I have a number like this, you see the previous problem, 2502, everything was significant, 2002, everything was significant. Here, these four numbers are significant, but this zero is not. Why not? Because it has a non-zero number in the front, but not in the back. Okay, remember, it must be surrounded, it must be sandwiched between non-zero numbers. So this zero has a non-zero number in the front, but not in the back. Okay, this is the rule when you are working with a number that has no decimal. You see, all of these numbers we discussed do not have decimals. The number we discussed here on the left-hand side does have a decimal. So that's why different rules. For zero, sitting without decimal in the number, different rules apply. And when you have a zero sitting with the decimal, then different rules apply for a significant figure. And you want to be very careful with that, okay? Okay, so now let's go and practice with the problems at the top. Okay, so to get to the answer, so guys, let's do these simple ones first. We did them already, but here all these numbers are significant. So I have three significant figures. Here I have four significant figures, 3 SF significant figures. Okay, all numbers are significant. Now, it's the zero when you have to dig in and check and apply those rules. Okay, so here, when I look at that number, it has a decimal. So I see it's going to be easy for zero to become significant, but you still have to be careful. You have to identify if that zero has any non-zero number in the front. In the front, just in the front is okay. You don't need it in the back. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Let's look at this zero in the front. Is this zero significant or not? It is not. So I'm going to cross it off because I don't see non-zero number. This one as well. Both of these zeros are not significant because there's no non-zero in the front. Okay. All right. Again, we are not saying that there's one in the back but not in front. What we're saying, I mean, zero with a decimal does not need to be sandwiched, but it only needs a non-zero number in front. Okay, if it is there in the back, that's okay. but you must, there must be a non-zero number in the front, which we don't in this case. This one and this one is significant, of course. What about this zero? What do you guys think? Pause the video. So this zero sitting in the center, since this zero has a non-zero number somewhere in the front, it does count as significant. Okay, again, why are we not seeing if there's one in the front and the back? Why are we not looking at that rule? It's because the number has a decimal. So we only need a non-zero number in the front. Okay. All right. So what do I have? I have 3 sig figs. 3 sig figs. Okay. All right. Let's get this number down. So here, all these ones are significant. Both of these zeros are also significant because they have a non-zero number somewhere in the front. So I have total 6 significant figures. Okay, now let's look here. Both 1 and 1 are significant. Is this 0 significant? Yes, it is, because it has a non-zero number in the front. What about these two zeros? What do you guys think? Pause the video and tell me if these two zeros are significant or not. So both of these zeros are significant because you have a decimal and both of these zeros have a non-zero number somewhere in the front. So all these 5 numbers are sig figs. In this case, 1 and 1 are significant. Both of these zeros are not, right? This zero is significant because it has a non-zero number in the front. And similarly, this zero is also significant because it has a non-zero number in the front. So I have 4 sig figs. Okay. All right, let's look at this one. 10100. Number without a decimal, I have to be more careful. I need a number in the front and in the back of the zero. So 1 counts, this zero counts. This zero is significant. But do you see both of these zeros? These are not significant because they're not sandwiched. Okay, so I only have 3 sig figs. On this one, same thing. Both of these are good. This zero is good because it again is sandwiched. This one is not. Nothing in the front. There is in the back, but nothing in the front. Both of these are as well. They are not significant because nothing in the back. Must be sandwiched. 3 significant figures. Okay. All right. So I hope that makes sense here. Okay. I'm gonna stop this video here. In the next video, we'll talk about the rules for significant figures when it comes to addition and subtraction and multiplication and division.